What's up, guys? It's Lights Rail here, and today I'm bringing you a Giants B10 speed team that actually includes Copper, the Winged Living Armor. So he's not the most popular Giants option, and for a decent reason, but it is possible to make a speed team with him. Preferably, I would have some kind of defense buff in this team to make my Copper's damage better, but I don't have one, and I'm pretty sure this team is going to work. I don't know the average run time because I haven't ran this very much. I just tested this out 3 times to see if it would work, and it passed all 3 times. So hopefully now that I'm recording, it'll pass again. And yeah, so I'll explain Copper and Giants and why I chose to use him, as well as why people don't choose to use him. So why I chose to use him is because for many of you know that he has his third skill does a really good ignore defense damage, but you have to have more. You have to have like twice the defense of the enemy. So basically, if your Copper has the same defense as the enemy and you defense break the enemy, Copper should ignore defense. Now, the reason why he's not good in Giants is the right crystal does defense break. So my Copper just got defense broken, so he likely will not ignore defense on the boss if he does use his third skill at all in this run. Yeah, he didn't ignore defense, so he only did 5,000. And my app crashed. But I'll show you another run, and I'm sure you guys could have guessed that that team was going to win. But I'll show you another run anyways, just to show you the time on it, and just to, show you another run where Copper actually works. But yeah, that's why people want to use him. That's why I chose to use him. Like people don't typically, is because he can ignore defense. But that means you have to bring a defense buff for him to do really good damage. Like my Copper does about 40k, he does like 37, 38k with defense buff, and I didn't see how much, but it's probably like 18, 19k without defense buff. So it's not an insane nuke without defense buff. And so that means to make a speed team with Copper and have a defense buff, you got to be sacrificing something else. And typically you don't bring a defense buff with your Giants B10 speed team, but maybe some of you guys do. And then the Copper's also great for this stage because right there he took a lot of the boss's health just because the boss is defense type. So it's nice to ignore defense on it. And then let's see, Copper might actually be able to pull off a... Never mind. He didn't. He has a defense break. So he's not going to ignore defense unless he shakes off the defense break before he uses third skill. But it doesn't look like he will because the right tower is going to... Oh, he got resisted? Okay, well he used it when he had defense break. Okay. But, yeah, that's why people use him, or why people don't use him. I don't think he's the best option. Another good thing about him is if you do use him, and you do apply defense break on the boss, his first skill actually speed debuffs, which is super nice, and dragons. Or not dragons, sorry, giants. And, yeah, that's Copper for you in Giants. That's a minute and 3 seconds, so it's like a minute. Yeah, I'd say more or less it's like a minute to a minute and 10-second average with this team in particular. Of course, there are variations. You don't need exactly this. Like, you could switch out... Well, basically, there's one thing you can do. You can switch out one of the Lucians for another damage dealer of your choice, because you kind of want Hual with this team, or at least I want Hual with this team. And, yeah. How did I forget? Another thing people use, or some people use Copper, because he's pretty rare to use, but he can tank the boss because he's defense type, so he's got, you ruin him with defense, but so that means he can actually tank a hit from the boss, whereas a lot of nukers don't. Like on this team in particular, if the boss counterattacks, Lucian dies unless it's glancing, Qua dies every time, this Lucian dies unless it's glancing, and Galleon dies every time. Now Copper, there's a chance for A, the boss to glance, and B, it's a defense type, so it's probably not going to one-shot your Copper anyways. So that is nice, but I think to make it like my final point, I think there are better options than Copper, but he is nice. And if you're not at a complete speed team like this, and you're using a different team, that's has a healer or whatever, There is a good chance you'll be using Megan or Shannon. In that case, your copper does amplified damage, which makes him actually really useful in Giants as your first damage dealer. But that's kind of all I have to say about copper. I'll show you guys the runes. He's on Blade, Energy, and Shield. Preferably I'd have Guard over Energy. My ideal build would be like Rage Blade, but I have to use what I have to work with. And I have 75 resistance on him, which was not intended, but I guess it just happened. He's on defense, crit damage, and defense. You can pause it and go back if you want to go see the runes and like look at them more closely. But that's another thing I should mention is I have my defense glory tower, whatever it's called, the guard stone I think, completely maxed, so I get bonus defense from that. But that's really all I have for this video, guys. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, just leave it in the comment section and I'll try to answer it quickly. But yeah, that's all I have for today, guys. So may the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows.